Week 16 on the CFL schedule, set to wrap up on a beautiful Saturday night on the West Coast. It's a rematch at BC Place as the Lions and Stamps wrap up by home and home, and Calgary coming on the road trying to return the favor after losing at home last week against the BC Lions team that will look to continue to have the success that they've recently put together here.
Yeah, and Vernon Adams' first start last week in Calgary was one of his best of the season, or at least recent memory for Vernon Adams, taking the Lions to an overtime win, leading him in that regard, and he likes to play against the Calgary Stampeders. He's got a great record against them at 4-2. One guy that'd like to change all that good positive vibes for Vernon Adams is Sean Lemon. Sean Lemon has 88 career sacks. That's a ton. And he has never sacked Vernon Adams. Maybe his first tonight. He wants to get after.
Little extra motivation there, no doubt about that. His head coach, special night for him. Game 100 of his coaching career with the Calgary Stampeders. 707 winning percentage, 5-2 on the road so far this season. Going up against Rick Campbell, his team secured the season series last week with a victory on the road. They'll look for a clean sweep of the Calgary Stampeders here tonight. A huge game for both of these clubs, considering where they currently sit in the standings. BC in the driver's seat for that second place spot in the West. Calgary looking to get over a hump here against the teams above them in the standings.
Exactly. They haven't beat Winnipeg or BC this year. In those two games, by the way, against the Lions, 144 points scored in 2 games between these two teams. What do they got tonight?
Man, do we have a third thriller on our hands between the Stampeders and the BC Lions? Selfishly, I certainly hope so. It should be a great game tonight here. The roof is open at BC Place, and we are ready to go. BC Lions, Calgary Stampeders for the final time in the regular season, and a short kick to start this thing, and it drops in off of Stats and out of bounds, and the Calgary Stampeders with some trickery are going to have the ball on their own 41 to start this game. Wow.
Well, a great start for Calgary to go ahead and try and fool the BC Lions. This is something that Mark Killam, the special teams coach, clearly saw on the video when he goes back and watches the 2 games. A little soft on the edge for the BC Lions with this ball chipped up, and now Nick Stats back on the roster. Just has to be the last to touch it going out. Calgary possession.
Didn't play last week, gets back in and makes a big play, and Paredes dropping that in there perfectly. Calgary will start on their own 41, and they'll get it into the hands of Malik Henry, and a solid push ahead. Close to the first down, might be just shy. Here's a look at Jake Merritt, quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders.
2-2 on the season, now 0-1 in his career against the BC Lions. This is just start number 8, but look at the numbers from last week. 301 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and did not get the win.
Can't ask for a lot more in that situation. Had set up a possible game-winning field goal from 48 yards. Paredes, his only miss of the game, came at a big moment, and he's been so steady all year. This guy has been as well. Tommy Stevens, 2nd and inches into the game to push ahead for a first down. This time they'll hand it off to Beggleton, and he's got some room, first down and more, all the way down inside the BC 45, and this Calgary Stampeders starting offense brought to you by Expedia.
Sean McEwen in game number 2. It's always coming off injury. It's always that second game where you really feel comfortable and more yourself, and look for Sean McEwen to have a big game tonight. And Richie Sindani is going to play that slot back position. It was originally Kamar Jordan's. He's still hurt. Trey Odom's Dukes played last week. They're going with Sindani tonight.
Nice start to the game for the visitors. They'll hand it off. Kadeem Carey makes one man miss. Now a second, stays on his feet. What a run. A rumble down inside the 35 against this BC Lions starting defense.
Well, in 2 games against the Calgary Stampeders this year, that front 4 has not registered a sack. And that's something that they want to get after when you think Matthew Betts has 7 on the season, not 1 against Calgary. Jordan Williams leads the team in defensive tackles, 10th in the CFL, just shy of 60. And they get TJ Lee back off the injured list at the halfback spot in the secondary.
7 yards for Kadeem Carey on his first touch of the game. Leaves him in a pretty manageable spot here. Mayor's going to look down the field for Henry, reaching for it, got a hand on it, but it falls incomplete. Gary Peters there in coverage and disrupted him just enough.
Boy, I like this matchup. It's one of those games inside of the game that we can watch. Gary Peters has 4 interceptions on the season, has been so consistent in that secondary at the corner position. He against Malik Henry with a big game tonight could get to 1,000 yards. Needs 91 yards tonight to get there on the season. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Paredes will come out, and Calgary will look to start this game with some points on the board. Paredes, in his career, 87.4 so far this year, 88.6, and he pushes this one right. It'll be brought out in a little bit of room to run here for Terry Williams out towards the 20 before he is wrapped up. Vernon Adams Jr. about to get the ball for the BC Lions. Had his first start last week, won it. First start at home coming up next. First start last week as a BC Lion for Vernon Adams Jr. and a little up and down at the beginning of the game, but settled in nicely.
Yeah, he's figuring out right now what Nathan Rourke knew at the beginning of the season, the first half of the season really, is that he's got a great receiving core, and if you trust in them and throw it up to them, they're going to come down with it more times than not. Close to 300 yards passing. Most importantly, got the win for the Lions in Calgary.
Yeah, 294 yards, also had 32 yards on the ground, including a highlight reel play jumping over an opponent. Starts here on his own 19. They'll hand it off. James Butler, short pickup. Let's take a look at this BC Lions starting offense tonight.
You know, it was a pretty clean game throughout, and then at the end of the game, there was a bit of a melee between Cam Judge and Lucky Whitehead. And Philip Norman got involved in that as well. Whitehead took a punch, and Cam Judge was suspended for this game, so we'll get more on that as it goes on.
Over the middle, and a nice catch. That's Keon Hatcher laying out to haul it in for a first down for his quarterback.
Really nice catch to get things started for a little waggle motion, and then that dig route across the middle. Hatcher goes and gets it.
First completion of the game for Vernon Adams, goes for 12 yards. Hatcher closing in on 800 receiving yards this season. Another completion on the far side of the field, a short one, and that'll go to Brian Burnham against this Calgary Stampeders starting defense.
Yeah, I think if you're a Stampeder fan, you're looking at a front four that's pretty good. I mean, Mike Rose in there. You've got Sean Lemon, who's got 10 sacks on the season. Real good linebacking core. No Cam Judge, as I mentioned, so Silas Stewart will play for him, but Jameer Thurman's been back a couple of weeks. This is the question mark to me. The back end where they moved Tremaine Washington to corner, and Javian Elliott gets his first start.
2nd and 8 for Adams. 3 receivers out to his left. Looks to his left. Now in trouble, finds some room to run, and he's going to take off, puts on the brakes, cuts it back inside, trying to lunge ahead, and he's hit from behind, but that'll be awfully close to a first down as Vernon Adams Jr. uses his legs to pick up a chunk.
Well, this is part of his arsenal. I mean, this is something that he does very well, although he seemed a little bit irritated that we were going down that route when we talked to him on Zoom this week about, you know, being a running quarterback, being a great athlete at the quarterback position. He said, you know, I'm a passer first, and sometimes people read too much into that, but you can see he can get it done with his legs.
Derek Wigan got back to shut him down, stopped him just short, 3rd and inches. Pipkin pushes ahead, and what a push it was, all the way out to the BC Lions. 45, that's a no-doubter right there.
Well, just now that you feel the momentum shift early in this game where Calgary gets off to the good start, an onside kick surprises the Lions. They get a chance to go in with points. Paredes misses, and now the Lions got a drive going the other way.
Adams 2 of 2 to start this football game. Working from his own 45-yard line. Katoy swoops in behind his quarterback. They'll toss it out to Butler. He's got a lot of room to run. They close quickly on him, and he takes a heavy shot from Jonathan Moxie.
Wow. Okay. See, Moxie moved to the other corner. Moxie's played halfback. He's played corner on both short side and wide side. And because they're juggling around a little bit with Javian Elliott coming in, they moved Moxie back to the corner out there. And He steps up, nice hit. Now Butler was tied up, his legs were tied up, so he couldn't really defend himself, but Moxie came in and lowered the boom on him.
83 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Butler last week. He'll slide out wide left of Adams, empty backfield, and that pass batted down. Came right back to Vernon Adams, and now bring up 3rd and 8, and the BC Lions will be forced to kick this thing away.
But got field position back, did not give up points in that onside kick where Calgary got off to the great start. I think, you know, early on, that's a win. Now this guy can do some damage back here. Leads the league in all-purpose yards.
He's a threat every time he touches it. He's bobbled a couple back there as well, but he's settled back in nicely here. Flint off a low, hard kick. That's going to bounce at the 25. Logan waits for it, scoops it up at the 12. 51-yard kick, and Logan will bring it back out towards the 25, and that is where he is tracked down by the cover team of the BC Lions. Jake Mayer will get his second crack at it with the Calgary Stampeders as we are scoreless here midway through the opening quarter in Vancouver. Well, usually the numbers that Jake Mayer put up last week would be good enough to win you a football game, but they came up just short.
Yeah, a nice 77-yarder early in that one for a touchdown to Malik Henry. 301 yards passing, did not make a mistake with an interception, and yet didn't get the win, although he did his part. He got Rennie Paredes lined up for a 48-yard field goal to win it, and Paredes missed.
2-2 as a starter since replacing Bo Levi Mitchell. Both those wins coming against Edmonton. He's got a completion outside the 40 as he gets back into the hands of Malik Henry. Never a bad idea.
Yeah, another 300-yard passing game for Jake Mayer in that one. So this is start number 8 for him. Look at the precision on this throw. Just in that window in the zone, the Lions were playing behind there. But 4 of his 7 starts over 300 yards passing, including his first 3 as a Stampeder.
Nadeem Carey stands in there to the left of his quarterback. They'll hand it off back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe not even. That might end up being no gain on the play. As Jake Mayer, we mentioned, taking over. Here's the comparison to the man he replaced.
Yeah, red zone TDs is 25% to 15%, and that touchdown interception ratio better. I mean, the record at 2-2. Again, had him lined up for a game-winning field goal, didn't get it done. I think one of the questions has got to be brought up. The trade deadline's coming up.
What do you do with both? Keep him as very good insurance, or do you try to move him? Here's Mayer. Quick feet, gets it away, connects with Philpott, makes a man miss, and he's got a first down, takes the ball over midfield into BC Lions territory.
Yeah, I like the active feet of Jake Mayer in that pocket. I mean, you're right, he had very active feet, looked off the defense to his left, went through the progressions, got it out there to Philpott. Philpott got the job done for him. He set it down.
Gary Peters, a victim there of Jalen Philpott's shiftiness. 3 receivers to the short side of the field for Mayer. Looks over the middle, throws it over the middle, and he's got a completion first of the game for Luther Hakunavanu.
Yeah, he looks locked in, Mayer, and you get Jalen Philpott involved early. He's an athlete that can make you miss. I mean, let's take another look at that move. There's the crossing route to Hakunavanu.
2nd and 4 for Mayer. We watched Calgary, after the onside kick to start the game, drive the field and end up having a 41-yard field goal missed by Paredes on their first possession. Mayer looking to keep this drive alive. Near side completion to Sindani, and another first down for Calgary. That's the 4th different receiver to catch a pass here in the first quarter from Jake Mayer.
Yeah, 3 Canadian receivers in the starting lineup tonight for Calgary. Richie Sindani, as I mentioned off the top, is playing for Kamar Jordan in his spot. Hakunavanu, who you just mentioned, and Jalen Philpott, all the Canadian receivers getting involved in this drive.
Sindani coming into this game with an 80% catch rate, among the best on the team, and hauls in another one there. 1st and 10 now from the BC Lions, 39 for Mayer. Takes the handoff, now gets it to Henry. There's some room on the far side of the field. He kind of slipped as he cut it back at the 35, and the Lions and TJ Lee able to finish him off as he goes down.
Well, this is a good running team, the Calgary Stampeders, so the Lions defensively are going to have to pay attention to that. Kadeem Carey leads the league. They will rotate Peyton Logan in. He was in on that last play, but that defensive front seven for BC has got to check run first. They're the #1 team in the league running the ball.
Almost 110 yards per game is what they average. They'll get it to Logan this time. A little bit of a stumble, and he is going to be stopped a couple of yards shy of what they needed.
Like Dave Dickinson thought about going for it on 3rd and 3 here. Jake Mayer started walking out, turned around to go back to the huddle, and then I think Dave Dickinson changed his mind, and he'll attempt a field goal, or at least line up in field goal formation.
3rd and 3. We've got an injured Stampeder down on the field. It's Derek Dennis. Will take a pause and come back here in Vancouver. Welcome back to BC Place, everyone. Derek Dennis is up and sitting up now as they continue to look at his right leg. Here's another look at what happened.
Yeah, left tackle, number 63. He's blocking Lacombo, and I think if Peyton Logan doesn't stumble into that hole, this doesn't happen. He got rolled up on, but this stumble turns out friendly fire on Dennis, who was trying to block Bo Lacombo there.
In his 5th year with the Calgary Stampeders, spent a season in Saskatchewan, had signed in Edmonton in 2021 but did not play, and now back with the Calgary Stampeders here again, and part of a great offensive line. I mean,
yeah,
whether it's Bo Levi Mitchell or Jake Mayer at quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders, they don't get touched. They've only been sacked 12 times all season, by far the best in the Canadian Football League. And then on top of that, and the other aspect of it, they're averaging 6.6 yards per carry. Any running back who gets the ball for this Calgary team is over 6 yards. So this offensive line, in both elements that you look for, have done a great job, and he's a huge part of that out of the left tackle spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Two-time team nominee for outstanding lineman, and of course 1 in 16. And Bryce Bell is the 6th dressed offensive lineman for Calgary tonight. So we'll see how they juggle that old line. They're going to help Derek Dennis off the field. But you're right, they lead the league in rushing, and they lead the league in allowing the fewest sacks. That's O-line play, and you know, when it works the other way and teams struggle there, boy, it's pointed out in a hurry that the offensive line struggles, and maybe we don't say it enough when they don't, because this Calgary O-line's been outstanding.
Most outstanding lineman in the league back in 2016, was an all-star then, 3-time West Division all-star as well. And it'll be big shoes to fill, not having Dennis the rest of the way tonight. And you know, hopefully he's not out long term, but you never like to see a player have to get carted off.
Now Bryce Bell got some playing time when Sean McEwen was down, so he's got a little bit of experience. Just 2nd year for him, 24 years old. And I'll start making some adjustments. There's Sean McEwen right there. He's the quarterback of that offensive line, and a guy that will call all the stunts. Every team does that. And there's Bryce Bell, who's getting warmed up, make sure he's ready out of Wilfrid Laurier.
Last year as a rookie, he started 3 games at right tackle, did start a game at left tackle as well, so maybe just slide him right in there with the experience.
We'll see how they juggle it. Yeah,
that he has, right? And therethe's a little bit of a juggling on that line that may have to occur. But he does have an opportunity here with a little bit of experience to slide in. 11th overall pick in the 2021 draft. So you know, obviously some pedigree here that comes with him as he works his way through his 2nd season in the Canadian Football League. But this is a group that, you mentioned it, without Sean McEwen, Bell Slidden. So this is a group that BC on the other side basically had their entire offensive line together up until last game. So, you know, they've had a pretty steady group together there for the most part. Calgary's had to move some pieces around on the offensive line, and no matter who's in there, you know, they've done an absolutely sensational job so far.
Yeah, Rick Campbell's group, Andrew Pearson filled in for Suk Jung at that right guard spot. That was the one change that they've had to make all season long. So, but it works in coordination. Your quarterback's timing, your quarterback's quickness in reading the defense, going through his progressions and getting rid of the ball, stepping up strong in the pocket. All of those things contribute to good offensive line play. Sometimes the O-line gets picked on when a quarterback gets hit a ton, and Vernon Adams did last week. Took some sacks. I believe it was 4 total.
Yeah, 4 sacks last week they got to him. Obviously the health here of Derek Dennis, most important thing. Look like they're going to try to stabilize his right leg. They're early in a football game like this. You see all these guys just standing around, Glenn. I'm sure you've been in this situation a few times.
Yeah.
Early in, I mean, any time in a game, I guess a delay. But what about early in a game like this? I mean, what's it do for the buzz down on the field?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, both teams actually legitimately and sincerely care about the injured player. I mean, no one wants to see that. So that's the first thing that goes through your mind when you're there, and you hope that, you know, he'll be okay. And then beyond that, yeah, it's kind of stay loose, because after the first hit, when you're down on a coverage team like the opening kickoff, or you get that first rep on defense or offense, after that the nerves settle in, and then the nerves climb back in there when these breaks happen. So now every one of the players here, they're feeling the nerves again. They're starting to think about things. He's up and he's on the cart.
33-year-old Derek Dennis going to be carted off, and we wish him best in his recovery and hopefully be back on the field again this season.
Yeah, that's what I mean about both teams sincerely caring about the injured guy, because these two teams that had a bit of a melee after the game last week, as we mentioned. But both teams, when we talked about it in Zooms, said it's behind them, said it was a pretty clean and respectfully played game for the 60 minutes they played against each other, and then it just kind of went sideways quickly right after the game. Cam Judge did not want to go to arbitration with his suspension and didn't want to challenge it. He's gonna basically take his lumps for what happened and move on. And that's a hit for the Calgary Stampeders on defense. He was their best defender.
Paredes, and he gets things back on track. Missed one from 41 earlier, hits this one from 39, and the Calgary Stampeders, after a bit of delay, do come away with 3 points on their second possession of the ballgame. Well, welcome back. Vernon Adams Jr. in his first home start with the BC Lions. For more on that, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, Dustin, it took 6 years for him to finally make a start here at BC Place, a place he's kind of viewed as his football home. You'll recall the Lions first brought him into the league 6 years ago before trading him to Montreal, and he said to his agent at the time, no matter how long I stay in Montreal, I want to finish my career in BC. He's always had one eye back on this franchise because he views himself, quite frankly, as a West Coast guy. So he's got 10 members of his friends and family here, wife Liz, son Xavier, finally get to watch him play here at home. He's got other members of his friends and family that are here as well, and he says more are expected next week. So he likes that atmosphere. He understands who the big dog is here, Nathan Rourke, but he also knows this is a huge opportunity for him to reestablish himself as a starting quarterback in this league, and he viewed last week's performance as his most efficient performance ever in the CFL.
That's one of the things we were talking about before the broadcast, just how efficient he was last week. No touchdown passes, but moved the ball extremely well. Now he finds his running back. The Butler makes a couple of guys miss, and then it stopped just shy of a first down. But a really nice way to settle in here with family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Have his friends and family watching tonight. And, I thought he played great last week. Again, in recent memory, and it's been an up and down sort of last couple of years for him, in Montreal, and then ends up a BC Lion.
And to the running back and just shy.
As far as said, back to the West Coast. So, he's comfortable here. He likes the talent. He does a lot of things off the field to get that chemistry started. Family and friends will be close by, and so it's all working nicely. And I thought his game last week, especially those intermediate throws, the throws, not the deep ball necessarily or those short checkdowns, but those intermediate throws, he was bang on last week.
3rd and inches, Pipkin in, and he takes care of business. That'll be a first down for the BC Lions, who find themselves trailing 3-0 here late in the first quarter. That's a pretty remarkable number there. 3 points combined. You just can't get any closer than what we've seen between these two teams so far this season. Calgary cannot take the season series, so that tiebreaker belongs to the BC Lions, but depending on how the rest of the schedule works, they could still finish second in the West, and just really would like to get some momentum with a win against them, a team higher than them in the standings, as this one is batted down, and that'll bring them 2nd and 10.
Yeah, take a look at sort of the stats from last week and that overtime win, and these are the league numbers right there, and the intermediate throws from 10 to 19 yards, and completion percentage at 58. But Vernon Adams last week 6 of 6, 107 yards. So those are those clutch dig routes with defenders all over the place, and you got to find the window and fit it in there, and that's exactly what Vernon did last week.
He could use 10 more right here. Has some time, far side, and that one in and out of the hands of Javon Catoy, and that will bring up 3rd down and a full 10 at midfield for the Lions.
Yeah, again, not on Vernon Adams. He put it right on him, and it looked like Catoy with a quick move. It looked like he was just trying to get out of this curl route and get some yak yards before he'd secured it. Good tackle and break by Javian Elliott.
Flintoff just gets this away, pressured as he kicks. Logan takes it, a 47-yard kick, and Logan, a short return on the play. Too many. There's not enough room on a television for my fantasy leagues. Let's just leave it at that. Jake Mayer, a ton of time, near side, back to Henry, and he is wrapped up immediately, nowhere to go. Gary Peters and Purifoy, who gets moved all over this defense, he's there to make the tackle.
Yeah, he's back at safety. And I mentioned the melee, and TJ Lee goes in. When he comes back into the secondary, Luchez Purifoy, who played the halfback spot for Quincy Mauger, he moves back to the safety spot. But you're right, he's played down the linebacker core, halfback, and safety.
2nd and 5 on the Calgary 23. Mayer looks to his left, hesitates, a little bit of pressure, steps up, and now he's going to take off on the run, a slide. That'll get him outside the 30, and that's a first down on the legs of Jake Mayer.
And a good decision by Matthew Betts. I mean, he hit a shot here at a quarterback trying to scramble and run, and Jake Mayer, he steps up and he's running down the field here, and it just let up. I think Mets could have drawn a penalty flag and added on to this gain by Mayer. Doesn't run a lot, just 4 coming in. But a good decision by Betts.
Final play of the opening quarter for the Stampeders, up by 3. They'll get it to Kadeem Carey, cuts it back, puts a shoulder down, and get a few hard yards on that first down scamper. And the Calgary Stampeders on the road have a lead, but it's a tight one at BC Place. Paredes, the only 3 points on the board. Calgary will have the ball when we come back to begin the second quarter. Welcome back to Vancouver on a Saturday night, everyone. The BC Lions trailing 3-0, and a little bit of a bizarre first quarter, just 3 combined points for 2 teams that have been scoring points in bunches in their other meetings so far this season.
Yeah, that first game was a 40-41 win for the BC Lions, and you think about the points, 144 in 2 games coming in. So you're what, at 72 points per game on average for these 2 teams, and we've got just 3 on the board. So a little bit different. Maybe the defenses just decided after watching the video of the first 2 games, enough is enough. It's time for us to step up and get some stops.
Or maybe we'll have 70 points in the next 3 quarters. I prefer that option, but we will we'll see how it sorts itself out here.
I'm good either way. Yeah. I like a good defensive battle too now.
I see that. Face paint on that last guy, that's an entire afternoon right there. 2nd and 7. Jake Mayer, 3 out to his right, looks to his left, throws to his left, stumbling was Philpott. Looks for a flag, nothing there, and it falls incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd down and distance here.
Yeah, Jalen Philpott just coming out of his break stumbled. Now, was he helped in that stumble from Marcus Sales? You're allowed to jam at 5 yards. You see, he was there. He was in the right spot. He was in the right window. Just stumbled out of the break.
Philpott with a couple of touchdowns already here in his first season, despite only being targeted 17 times coming in to the game as they continue to work the young guy, the first-round pick, into the offense. Cody Grace lets it fly. Towering kick. Comes down to Williams, 52-yarder. Williams taken down almost immediately. And that is where the BC Lions and Lucky Whitehead will go to work.
Well, he's come into the games differently every single game here at BC Place. And after the little bit of the melee between him and Cam Judge, we wondered what he was going to do. This was prior to the game tonight, where he gets up on a horse. And by the way,
look at those boots. Look at those boots he's wearing.
The horse's name is Pablo. And he's a trained movie horse. So I'm not sure if he was taking a little shot at the Calgary Stampeders riding in on a horse tonight.
Pablo probably starred in Yellowstone, I would think. Adams on the run, out to his left, throws and has a completion first time today for Dominique Rhymes.
Nice catch by Rhymes on the sideline. You know, Lucky Whitehead has become such a popular player. I mean, the kids are really engaged with number 7 here with the BC Lions, and you're all of a sudden seeing tons of number 7 jerseys, and I think they love his entrances, and they're going to love that catch too.
Rhymes over 1,000. Lucky Whitehead will push towards 1,000 yards this season as well. Adams turns. There's a flag as he lets one fly towards Whitehead, up for grabs, and it drops incomplete. Working there against Javian Elliott, but there is a flag right back by the BC Lions quarterback.
Illegal block, hands to the face, BC number 51. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
That's the center, Peter Godber.
Well, Lucky Whitehead on that deep post drew some attention. I think there was three Calgary defenders back there.
Well, you don't want to let him get free, even at 30 years old. I mean, he's going to have the speed to break away from most.
See, 51, hands to the face, and maintained it there.
First and 20 for Adams. He's got a ton of time. Now down the field, he's got a completion. It's Burnham and a big chunk on first down to make things second and manageable for Brian Burnham. His second catch of the game. This one is biggest.
Well, lots of time, as you mentioned, for Vernon Adams to stand back there in the pocket and just survey the entire field. 65 yards wide. He's going from right to left, waiting, and Burnham finally opens up to the sideline and gets him in a real manageable second down.
Haley Buka there to make sure he didn't get any more. And now it's 2nd and 3. Adams has that one broken up. Almost picked off. Moxie made a play there against Keon Hatcher, and that'll bring up 3rd down again for the BC Lions as this drive stalls in midfield.
Good play by Jonathan Moxie to break. We've seen now a good hit from Moxie early in the game, the first series on James Butler, and now that great knockdown. See if he gets matched up on number 7 as this game goes on.
Flintoff set to let it fly. Kicks it away from just outside his own 40. And that one will bounce inside the 15 and out of bounds. Calgary offense about to go back to work with that man, Kadeem Carey, who for fantasy purposes needs to crank it up a notch here tonight against the BC Lions. He will have the ball with Jake Maier when we return on TSN. Kadeem Carey in the middle of the huddle there, and boy, he's having a sensational season. Just look at these last two games. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 19 carries with a real fat 9.5 yard average. I mean, he has rushed the ball 46 fewer times than Brady Oliveira, who's number 2 on the list this year. Had he had the same amount of carries, he'd be well over 1,000 already.
Has 7 rushing touchdowns as well. Pass to the far side of the field. That is completed. And held on to, and it's Hunchak for the first time tonight.
So Calgary's wondering that they're going to bring in Bryce Bell, and he will replace Derek Dennis at that tackle spot. So moving around, played center, plays guard. Now he's at left tackle. Here he is. I believe he's going one-on-one with David Menard. Yep, nice job.
Maier makes some adjustments. 4 receivers to his wide side left. That's where he looks first. Down the field is where he's going to go, and it's hauled in at the 50. What a catch by Hunchak. His second in a row. This one's spectacular.
Really was spectacular. I mean, the throw was outstanding because it led Hunchak to a point where only he had a shot at it, because when he comes out of his break, Hunchak is covered pretty well. But Jake Maier throws it out there, so he has to go get it, and he does. 33-yarder for Colton Hunchak.
Coming into this game, Hunchak only had 3 catches on the season for 17 yards total, and he's got 2 on the last couple of plays. Heads to the sideline for a breather now. He'll get it out to Begelton. He's got nowhere to go. Wrapped up immediately. Played extremely well there by Manny Rugamba.
Love to see these Canadian receivers really excelling. I mean, we saw one in their game earlier tonight with Toronto and Gittins, and seeing Canadian receivers like Luther Akunavanu starting to really emerge as big-time, big playmakers down the field. That was an outstanding catch by Colton Hunchak. We'll rotate 3 of them, including Richie Sundani, as we mentioned.
2nd and 11 after a loss of 1, out in the flat to Begelton. Maier in the pocket, now flushed out on the run to his left. Pressure coming, dumps it off. He has Logan, and Purifoy is there to smother him and bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, Luchez Purifoy is one of those guys who kind of just plays the play. He knows his responsibilities. He's the quarterback of the defensive backfield. And, he's a guy who sort of just plays the play. Clearly he does a lot of video work. He's got experience. You see, he doesn't get deep because he knows that Jake Maier, the way he was running, couldn't throw it deep. It was just physically impossible. So he slides up, makes a tackle, and forces Calgary to punt.
Cody Grace lets it go from just inside his own 45. Williams waiting, takes it cleanly just inside the 20 after a 39-yard kick. And made the first and second man miss, but the rest of them were there to wrap him up and take him down. BC Lions defense is doing their job, but they trail 3-0.
Absolutely. Well, defenders are feeling that train coming when it's James Butler with the...
Well done. That's Butler standing in, and he's going to get the ball, cuts it back, finds a little bit of room, took a heavy blow at the end of the run as he was already tied up. Dozier, who made sure he wasn't going any further after a 6-yard pickup.
Butler likes the contact. He'll go find it, but he's taken a couple of big hits from the Calgary defense tonight. Early on, it was Jonathan Moxey. This is Brendan Dozier, who's going to get a chance to rotate at that linebacker spot with Silas Stewart.
2nd and 4 for the Lions. Adams going through his progressions, has that one almost gets picked picked off. It's Moxie. He's got 2 career interceptions. Almost had his third. Not sure if it slipped right through his hands or not. Coming off of a redirection, obviously.
Well, he leads the team in knockdowns, Moxie. He leads the Calgary Stampeders in that. And he kind of stumbled, or else that's a pick for him. A couple of plays already tonight. Good knockdown a couple series ago in the first quarter. The big hit on James Butler, as we just talked about.
Just the first 2 and out for either team in this football game, despite it being just 3-0 game. Very high kick, hanging up there. Eventually comes down just inside the 35. 47-yard kick with a short return from Logan, wrapped up and taken down. Stampeders on the road with a 3-0 cushion in Vancouver. Special night for Jalen Philpott, an opportunity to come home. For that, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, his first game here as a pro. He played plenty of them during his high school days, including a provincial championship game with Ben Haladik on the other side. And I asked Dave Dickinson, look, this guy played at Calgary. He was in your own backyard. How much did you know about him? And he said, I knew right away they were good, but I didn't necessarily watch them from a scouting perspective, but I did get to know them when both he and his brother Tyson worked at Dave Dickinson's summer quarterback academy. Said he really liked just how well they worked with the kids, how well they understood the game, and just how much fun they were to be around. But overall, as he got to evaluate them, he appreciated their competitiveness and their desire to be great. And as far as Jalen's concerned, he felt, you know, he could have been a day one starter. He was that good here. The only thing that derailed him is injuries, but he thinks he could be an exceptional player in this league for a long time. Had no hesitation starting him tonight.
I think we've seen that, right? The glimpses that we've seen show a lot of superstar ability right there.
Yeah, Can West Player of the Year and U Sports Rookie of the Year, and Colleen proud of her kids. But I agree, both Philpott brothers, man, we are just scratching the surface of those guys for sure.
Jalen, a 2-time All-Canadian. There's a completion outside the 50, this time to Richie Sindani, just 27 years old and working his way into this offense as well.
It's really about opportunity, and Farhan mentioned some nicks, some injuries, a little bit of injury issues for Philpott has sort of slowed those opportunities a little bit. Dave Dickinson wanted to make sure he's 100% healthy, but you can see that Jake Mayer has great trust in all the Canadian receivers where they're involved tonight.
Well, let's slide Philpott into the running game a little bit from time to time as well, due to his explosiveness. Mayer, 1st and 10, steps up, dumps it off. Agunavanu's got the first down and more, hurdling his way through down inside the 35. His second catch of the game. It's a big one.
That's an interesting move from Agunavanu at the top of this play, where he doesn't really try to jump over the defensive back, the defender. He's actually just kind of jumping past him. Watch this move. I haven't really seen it, kind of jumping almost like he wants to kick his way to an extra couple of yards there. And Luches Purefoy went, wow, that's different.
TJ Lee eventually hauled down the 6'4", 205-pound receiver. Mayer, with pressure coming, gets it away, and that will fall incomplete. We haven't seen BC rush him very often tonight, but he had to get rid of that one.
Yeah, he had to. He had Bagleton, and the reason he had to rush it because of the full pressure. Now, right here is a good block from that tailback spot as Kadeem Carey does his job. Watch him pick up the pressure off the edge. That's a great block on Rakamba. But there were one too many, and Mayer just couldn't get the accuracy he needed.
We'll reset things in a 2nd and 10 here from the BC 31. Saturday night at BC Place. Beautiful day in Vancouver. Mayer with time, steps up, now he's in trouble, escapes, still on the run, lunging ahead, this time no slide to be seen as he gets it down to the 25-yard line.
It'll be just short again. Both these teams are really having to work for it. They get into plus territory, and the defense is that much stronger.
Paredes 1 for 2 tonight. 3 for 4 last week. And inside 40 coming into tonight, he was 28 of 29. Lines up to give his team a 6-point lead, and he will tuck that one home. So Calgary Stampeders, they've lost some run and gun games against the BC Lions. Maybe they need to grind out a tight defensive battle. And we've got halftime not too far away.
See, I'm relying on the guy right over here. I'm relying on this guy right now to talk about how great it is when you see great defense. That you know, defense is allowed to win. Ryan Phillips was on, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, was on Twitter this week talking to Marshall Ferguson about how Marshall had done some stats on defensive football, and it can be an entertaining game. And of course, you know, my history, obviously I'd like to see some great defense too, but it's been that in this first half.
BC trailing here 6-0, but they do allow the second fewest points in the league. Only Winnipeg allows fewer points at just over 22 per game, and they have the best defense in the league when it comes to yards allowed, just over 304 per game.
Yeah. Well, both teams are 1 and 2 in scoring. So maybe the second half, they flip the switch. It's completely different. Aaron Monson, the defensive coordinator, has got his group ready to play, and Ryan Phillips made a point of direct messaging and messaging Marshall Ferguson to say, hey, thanks for talking about defense.
Defense needs love too, right?
Yeah. Few picks in that man's career.
Paredes boots it away. This will be taken at the 20. Some room to run. A little bounce out. All the way down to the 50, and then eventually hammered down is Terry Williams by Dozier, but a huge return and maybe a spark for some life into this BC Lions offense.
Terry Williams, number 2. You take a look at last week, and the guy who really stepped up again, another 100-yard receiving game for Brian Burnham, and 7 catches, 100 yards right on the money. You know, so a lot of talk all week about what happened with Whitehead and good catches by Dominique Rhymes, and quietly Burnham went to work and had 100.
20th 100-yard game of his illustrious career. Now down the field for Rhymes, falling, and it is incomplete. Crowd here wants a flag for pass interference. Doesn't look like it's going to come, as Vernon Adams took a shot to one of the best deep threats in the league.
Yeah, he did, and I like the no call. I mean, you know, Javian Elliott is in perfect position, turns to the football. I think Rhymes goes down on his own. I mean, he starts on the inside, and it ends up to be this type of coverage. And boy, on the Zoom calls, Dave Dickinson really talked highly of Javian Elliott. A little bit of a push from Rhymes even, so you know, good no call.
2nd and 10 for Adams. Some pressure coming this time. Gets it away just in time. And it falls incomplete. He was looking for Burnham, but because he was rushed, there's no way Burnham was going to get back to that ball.
I think it was Brandon Dozier that came on the blitz and really forced the quick throw. And this is what coaches talk about when they say you don't have to get sacks necessarily. I know that's a real sexy stat that everybody loves. What you need to do is make the quarterback uncomfortable. Get in his face, get there quickly. Dozier does it. The accuracy's not on the throw.
5 possessions for BC, 5 punts, 2 2-and-outs. And back to work again is Flintoff. Logan takes it just inside his own 20. Stays on his feet, looking for some room on the far side of the field. Can he get away from Williams? A race to the far sideline, and eventually he's taken down. Horse collar on the play, and that'll march Calgary up the field. What an effort by both of those athletes trying to get to the far sideline.
Yeah, it really was, because Jordan Williams started as a starter on defense. He had to cover those kicks too.
Major foul, horse collar tackle, BC number 20. 15-yard penalty.
Not an easy guy to track down or take down for that matter. Williams was able to force him out of bounds.
Coming up at at the half. We're hoping for some big plays in this final 3 minutes
like
that we can break down. And of course, the defense. Oh, by the way, Nails has an insider segment as well. Kenny Lawler update. William Stanback. I like it.
Big play.
Something's coming up at halftime.
Davis is, he heard, he's listening. Keep fighting for it.
1st and 10 for the Stampeders on their own 53. Pressure coming. Mayer gets it away down the field. Has a man. That's complete to Philpott. Stays on his feet. He's going to take it down inside the 10. Still going, and he's going to be stopped just shy. What an effort from Jalen Philpott.
Skinny corner route here from Philpott. The rest of the panel wanted some big plays. They got one. They got one from Jalen Philpott coming out of that bunch formation, real skinny kind of corner. He didn't have much room to operate there, but Jake Mayer puts it on him, and Philpott does a little extra work. Come on, okay. You know, she's seen this so many times. Philpott making big plays. I mean, it's like
he's probably thinking, why didn't he take it to the house?
Yeah.
1st and goal now from the BC3. Kadeem Carey. They'll hand it to him, pushing ahead, and he's in. Touchdown, Calgary. Kadeem Carey, for the 8th time this season, takes it home for the Major.
Yeah, it can change on a dime. I mean, it can change really quick. We talked about this whole first half basically being all defense on both sides of the sidelines here, but you know in the Canadian Football League it can switch immediately. One big play down the field. Jake Mayer, a great throw to Jalen Philpott, and the Calgary Stampeders punch it in. First touchdown of the game.
Almost untouched for Kadeem Carey. And Calgary now leading 12-0. The offense will stay on the field and they'll look to tack on a couple of more and take a 14-0 lead. Kadeem Carey stands in to the left of Jake Mayer. They'll tuck it back to him again, pushing ahead, and he's stopped just short. Nice job by the Lions defense. Bola Kumbo there to deny him of the end zone.
But a great throw to Jalen Philpott, and the first major of the game tonight. A nice, comfortable 2-possession lead for Calgary Stampeders. Lots of football to be played, but remember in that first matchup with 2 different quarterbacks playing, they were up by 17 in that one. But this gets them going offensively with a nice big play as the panel requested it. All you have to do is ask, guys. And one of the great athletes on the field here tonight will deliver for you.
They might want to chat a little bit about Jake Mayer. He's quietly 15 of 18 for 201 yards in this football game on the road.
Basically pace for a 400-yarder.
We in there. We in there, baby. We just getting started. Canada.
And with his ability, you kind of believe him, don't you? Like Kadeem Carey just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
Terrific season. And a huge weapon, obviously, for that man, Jake Mayer. Paredes lets it fly. Williams takes it. He's been busy tonight. Far side of the field and nowhere to go. Driven back as he gets it up and just past the BC Lion 35. Vernon Adams on the other side tonight. 5 of 12 for 56 yards, coming off a very efficient game last week, which was a win in Calgary. Looking to crank up that efficiency here.
Yeah, and I think in this first half, he's actually tested Javian Elliott over there in that halfback spot, playing in his first game. Again, I mentioned Dave Dickinson talking about how they're real excited about seeing him play. He's been such a great practice player. Got hurt early in the season, or in camp, and has not been able to get into the lineup because of it. Had a good first half.
They start on their own 37. Adams, Hatcher, he's got him in midfield, and number 4 will hang on for the BC Lions with Kobe Williams there in coverage.
Yeah, Vernon Adams climbs the pocket here nicely to allow Hatcher to go all the way across the field from the wide side to the short side of the field. And he gets there because Vernon Adams steps up. He steps up on that one, and Hatcher comes back an extra step. 17-yard gain for Keon Hatcher. Lots of time for some points for the Lions.
Second catch of the game for Hatcher. Now up to the BC 54. Adams. This time he's going to take off himself. Quick slide. Thurman there to help him at the end of it. And VA bounces back up.
Yeah, you know, the fans reacted here, but I truly think that Jameer Thurman tried to let up here. He just sort of fell over on him. And honestly, again, good no call. These ones that are close that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, not happening tonight. These well officiated so far tonight.
2nd and 7 now for Adams. In trouble, trying to escape. Now out on the run to his right, throws that ball down the field, and it will fall incomplete. Looked like they had him wrapped up a couple of times, but he did manage to get rid of it.
Yeah, Mike Rose had him, and he somehow got out of there. But I love what we heard from Sean Lemon this week when Lemon said, you know, when it comes to leadership up front, Mike Rose is the truth guy. He's the truth talker. Whether you play great or you don't play well, he'll let you know one way or another. He said Derek Wigan is the cheerleader. He's going to always be really positive, and I'm right in the middle.
Somebody's got to drop a reality check on you once in a while, I guess.
I can just hear Mike Rose doing it. He's a character. We've talked to him many times. I mean,
he's a funny guy. He's entertaining. Yeah.
Super entertaining, tons of fun, and I could just hear him come over and say, yeah, I had you.
Ooh, that's a stare that went through the back of Vernon Adams Jr.'s helmet.
We all got a little uncomfortable there, didn't we?
Well, now Calgary gets it with 1 minute and 11 seconds left. And a 12-0 lead on the road here.
Still no sack for Sean Lemon. Vernon Adams.
Rose has 6 on the year. He's having an excellent season, as expected again. Now they'll hand it off to Kadeem Carey. Near side, Carey taken down. Jalen Edwards Cooper eventually forces him out of bounds after a pretty good pickup on first down for Kadeem.
Yeah, real smart play by Kadeem Carey to switch the ball from the inside arm, where he's got it now on his right side, to the outside arm as he's getting hit there by Edwards Cooper. That little switch there can protect against a fumble.
Calgary 6 for 11 tonight on 2nd down. They need 4 yards to be successful here. Far side of the field, and that one almost intercepted. Oh my goodness, Gary Peters, who has 4 of them this year, would want that one back, but there's also multiple flags on the near side of the field.
Well, ball was
illegal contact on a receiver. BC number 14. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Calgary.
That's Marcus Sales, and he was on the short side, so illegal contact is 10-yard penalty, not point of foul. The ball was thrown to the wide side of the field. As you mentioned, Gary Peters. Right in there, it looked like some contact well down the field. That's where.
Okay.
Back inside the studio, Kate Burness alongside David Sanchez. Dave Naylor, Milt Siegel. We will get you back to BC as soon as we possibly can. We're on camera right now. Well, that's okay. You got to look pretty. I get it. Okay. We asked for some big plays, and that's exactly what we got. Thank goodness there for a bit. But we're just getting word from BC. We will get you back there as soon as possible. Under a minute to go. Let's go back to BC. Sorry, boys. Hold your thoughts. Let's get back. Dustin Nielsen, Glenn Suter.
BC has not sacked a Calgary quarterback yet this season. Mayer with pressure coming. Oh, he gets it away. Finds Logan with some space. Nice little spin move, and eventually Purifoy just simply throws him out of bounds with 48 seconds on the clock and about a yard short of what they needed.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Bryce Bell, and that's a good thing for Calgary. That's a good thing for Calgary fans. I mean, this was a quick decision by Jake Mayer to check it down, but remember, Derek Dennis left early, injured in this game. It'll be Bryce Bell at left tackle, and we haven't talked about him, and that's a good thing.
Calgary certainly not going to mess around here. Third and just shy of 2 yards maybe. So they'll come out and kick it away. Cody Grace with a 12-0 lead. Will boot this away to Terry Williams, coming over in a trade earlier this month from Ottawa, trying to provide some sort of spark for a special teams unit that desperately needs it. Has to backpedal here and takes it at his 11 after a 56-yard kick and just nowhere to go. Back out to maybe the 16 and not much further.
We saw one pretty good kick return from Terry Williams so far tonight, but a couple of good returners here, in the cover teams again are doing a nice job trying to contain these guys.
Well, BC Lions, things have been going so well. They are postseason bound, and a win for Calgary tonight would also lock up a playoff spot for the Stampeders, but still lots to be decided in the West Division standings between these two clubs the rest of the way. Not a lot of time this time for Vernon Adams Jr. They'll hand it off to Butler, and he's got a big chunk, first down and more. Takes it outside the 30. That's his biggest carry of the ball game. It goes for 14 yards.
Yeah, you can bet that the Stamps defensively are playing pass here. And they get a nice block off the edge from Javon Gatoy to spring his teammate.
First and 10 from the BC 31. Clock ticks down, 15 seconds remaining here in the opening half. And they'll just go back to Butler again. This time a short gain just past the original line of scrimmage, as the BC Lions seem content with taking just a 12-point deficit into the room. And if you're Calgary, you got to feel pretty good about this first half.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got a lead, and going into halftime on the road, team you haven't been able to beat this season, lost 2 to the BC Lions. For the Lions, going to halftime, just one throw in the direction of Brian Burnham tonight.
Second and 8. And a decent carry as the clock ticks down from James Butler. And the Calgary Stampeders on the road. Jake Mayer, that man right there, 16 of 20, 210 yards. Kadeem Carey with a touchdown, and that's the difference. BC Lions trailing 12-0 at halftime. Let's send it back to Kate and the panel.
And alongside David Sanchez, Dave Naylor, Milt Stiegel for real this time. Not like that fake time where they brought us in studio and then we just had to throw back. We're here for the halftime. This obviously not the start I don't think either team was looking for, but then Calgary coming up with that really great play at the end of the quarter or the half there. But VA, we know what he's capable of. We've seen him use his legs in situations, elude defenses. Hasn't really gotten going in this game, but you think there's potential for him to break out in this one.
Yeah, usually you don't have, a halftime roll in and plays to show of good plays when you score 0 points, but that's what we have. We have, I wouldn't say a plethora, but we have a handful of really nice plays that show you what VA is capable within his offense. Then that's a nice throw, standing tall and making that throw. And Suits talked about it, about talking to VA and VA being hesitant to be called a running quarterback. You have that gift. Right. Embrace it. Right. I mean, that's you're one of the special ones that can throw on the run accurately like that. You can make people miss. You can extend time. And then yes, if you couldn't do this, VA, you wouldn't be in the league. You couldn't make those throws. So, I really feel like that dimension that he provides of being an athlete is something that not only he should embrace, but use it. Because as a defender, I promise you, when you're extending drives with first downs with your legs, it makes it that much tougher.
That's nice the way you talk of him. That was real cute. I like that.
Thank you.
You know, talking
Thank you.
good of him. But let's be honest. And I said this last week, it's not about perfection, it's about progression. He has to get better. He has to get better than what he did last week, and so far we haven't seen that. Yes, he hasn't hurt his team, but right now he's not helping them. I mean, this is the highest scoring team in the CFL. I know a lot of that is Nathan Rourke, but they need him to go out there and help this team win. And when you play a half with this team and you don't have any points, I know it's not all on the quarterback, but a lot of it's on quarterback.
Has he missed a bunch of throws?
But he's not making the plays.
Maybe
I understand that.
Because they're not running the ball. They're not.
Okay, so we asked a question. What is the difference? Because Nathan Rourke had the same offense with these same opportunities. Were there guys not open then, or is he just not seeing these guys open?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
I would probably say B. I'd probably say he maybe not.
Okay, so
maybe not seeing it maybe not going through the progression as quick and seeing it like Nathan does. No question.
Right. Well, he has to get to that point. He has to find a way. I know it's easier said than done, but he has to get to that point.
Yeah, it's been a regression for him so far this game, no question. And one of the players we've seen take a step forward in this game is Jalen Philpott of the Calgary Stampeders. And I'll tell you, a couple of things I love about Jalen Philpott. One, this is a guy who's come right out of the University of Calgary. Typically, rookie receivers that come out of U Sport don't play this kind of role, and we're seeing what I love about him is the yak yards. He's got 2 catches in this game for 69 yards. 38 of the yards come on yak. And here, he gets a deep throw here. He can go out of bounds. He manages to stay in, avoids a couple tacklers, almost punches it in for the touchdown. But I love the fact that when he catches the ball, he's not looking to get out of bounds. He's not looking to secure it and go down. He's looking to see what he can do with extra yards. Over half of his yards tonight have come after the catch.
You know what his secret weapon is, don't you?
Oh, God, here we go.
Sucker's wearing number 85. Back to you, Kate.
I knew it was going that
direction. Back to you, Kate. Man, you can't go wrong with that number.
Yeah, you can't. Do you guys want a brothers update, by the way? So that was Jalen's 3rd TD of the season. Tyson, only 2. Better catch up. Coming up after the break, Dave Naylor has some insider information. 12-0 Stamps. Amazing to think it is already week 17 in the CFL season. It all kicks off with Friday Night Football. We got a doubleheader. The Rough Riders taking on the Bombers. A late one between the Red Blacks and the Lions at 10:30 Eastern. And then Saturday kicks off with the Alouettes and the Elks. It all wraps up with the Argonauts and the Stamps, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. As promised, our CFL insider Dave Naylor with some big news on some big names. Let's start with Kenny Lawler and William Stanback.
Yeah, you mentioned Montreal and Edmonton playing each other next day. It's possible that both players could be back. Chris Jones tells me that Kenny Lawler will return to practice this week. He'll be evaluated. They'll make a decision on whether he will participate in that game. Of course, Lawler, their big signing this year, the highest paid receiver in the league, and has certainly been productive for the Edmonton Elks. Meanwhile, we remember back the very first game of the season, William Stanback went out. He also is eligible to return. Danny Machocha telling me right now he's not sure how much he will practice this week, and then it will be the evaluation during practice over whether he will be ready to return to the lineup this week as well. So big maybe on both guys, but certainly 2 of the biggest offensive playmakers the league has. We'd love to see them head-to-head.
That'd be amazing for Stanback. Watching that injury, I don't think any of us thought that he'd be back this season, so that would be something to see. All right, also some big news on a couple of offensive linemen.
Yeah, the Argonauts this week signed Ryan Hunter. Now, he was their first or the 9th pick of the draft in 2018. And every year this comes up in the draft is like, do you take a risk on a guy who's going to get attention from the National Football League? Well, he spent time with the Kansas City Chiefs. Most recently was with the Los Angeles Chargers. Big addition for the Argonauts to get him, Canadian offensive lineman who could really help them. The other offensive lineman in the news, Drew Desjardins, who, of course, played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Nasty, tough offensive lineman. Ches and I saw him when we were visiting the Patriots camp this summer. He was with them. He was released by New England, then picked up Spencer spent 2 weeks on, or spent a month on the New Orleans Saints practice roster. He was released this week. Apparently, he is not planning to return to the CFL this year.
Okay.
Not going to go back to Winnipeg. He's going to play it out, and feels like he's probably not very far a call away from another opportunity in the NFL. So you will not see Drew Desjardins back in the CFL
I
this
was
season.
just going to end that with just when you thought the Bombers couldn't get any more fortunate this time around, they will not be seeing him. But thank you, our CFL insider, Dave Naylor. All right, don't go anywhere. Still half of the game of football to be played over in BC. Farhan Lalji standing by with Jalen Philpott right after this. A defensive battle, as we call it. Milt Stegall, what else stands out?
Well, Vernon Adams only has 73 yards rushing. I think for him to get some momentum, they have to have him do some design runs. On the other side, the Calgary Stampeders are playing well. The mayor, once again, is throwing for 210 yards. And what about young Jalen Philpott having a game of his life right now?
Here he is with our Farhan Lalji.
Jalen, your first start, and the offense had things going, but not necessarily in the red zone until your big play. Take us through that one.
Yeah, you know, we've been playing okay here on offense, moving the ball up and down. We're getting a couple big plays here and there, but the big focus right now on the sideline is just getting in that end zone and finishing in the red zone, like you said. So, yeah, we just knew that we needed a quick spark to get us in the red zone, and then we knew we were going to score. So I was able to do that for my team, and we're just going to keep building on that.
Spark for you, I assume, playing back here. You haven't played here since high school playoffs. Mom's here, a bunch of fans, family. What does this mean to you?
Oh, this means everything. You know, it's amateur night. I remember being out here in the community football, coming out and running at halftime and playing football. So it's full circle for me, and it's just so fun to be out here in front of this crowd just playing football.
Thanks for this.
Thank you. Thank you, Farhan.
It's definitely the 85, isn't it, Milts?
Know it.
All right, Philpott in the stands looking to build on the lead in the second half. Currently up 12-zip. We'll get you back to BC right after this.
Just a beautiful night in Vancouver, except if you're the BC Lions offense. Shutout 12-0 in the first half. Farhan Lalji is with Vernon Adams Jr.
Offense in a little bit more of a rhythm here in the second half.
We got to stay on the field, man. We got to help the defense out. They're doing a great job, man, but when we get 2 and outs, they get tired, you know what I'm saying? So I got to help them out and do better.
Yeah, what is Calgary doing differently against you than they did last week, especially on second down?
They're doing a little different stuff here, but nothing that we haven't seen before. We just got to make plays. I got to make better throws, and let's get it going.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
6 possessions in the first half, 6 punts in the first half for the BC Lions.
Yeah, you know, I thought both defense, I mean, you wouldn't know it from Jake Mayer's numbers, over 200 yards passing in the first half. I thought both defenses played pretty well, but for a couple of plays here and there. The Jalen Philpott play down the field for Calgary was the one that set up the only touchdown in the first half. We'll see what we got. It's a game of adjustments. Coaches go back in there, they look at the tablets, they see what, as Farhan asked, see what is different. What is Vernon Adams seeing differently than that he didn't see last week when he threw for almost 300 yards.
Calgary is 3-3 when leading at halftime. The BC Lions are 3-3 when trailing at halftime. So we'll see how this sorts it out in the second half. Philpott back there to return the kick. If you are just joining us, Boom Guatram, defensive end for the BC Lions. He is out, will not return in this football game. And we are underway. Thank you very much for joining us. Second half action at BC Place in Vancouver to wrap up the week. Here goes Philpott. Looked like he had something cooking there, and then things closed down pretty quickly, but he still takes it almost all the way back to the 45. Decent field position here for Calgary.
You know, the offense we have seen have been generated from Canadians. Canadian receivers, Jalen Philpott, we talked about, he had that nice corner route after this one, but Kunavanu's got involved for the Calgary Stampeders. Richie Sindani has made a couple of catches for Calgary, and this is the big corner route to set up the touchdown. With his family here in BC Place, cheering him on.
7 different players with the reception tonight for the Calgary Stampeders. We start with the ball on their own 44, up 12-0 on the road. Mayer near side, completion to Henry, turns it right upfield. And that should be enough for a Stampeders first down to start the half.
Love what Jalen Philpott said at halftime to Farhan about the kids. There's over 1,000 kids from minor football all across the lower mainland. The North Delta Longhorns played at halftime. And Philpott had said, you know, it's full circle for me. I was one of those kids at one point. There's even the young girls doing the cheerleading and cheering their teams on. It's pretty cool halftime.
Awesome atmosphere here in BC tonight. They'll hand it off. And a lot of room to run for Kadeem Carey. Look at this. They'll take it down inside the 30 and eventually tripped up and taken down. Edwards Cooper there to finish it off, but a 29-yard scamper for Kadeem Carey.
He went off that left side. Remember, they do not have Derek Dennis, but Bryce Bell has played great stepping in for Dennis, and he gets the key kickout block here. I believe it was Ben Hladek that he removed from the hole, and Kadeem Carey hit it.
Carey now up over 7 yards per carry again tonight. Mayer, near side. Beggleton goes down and gets it. Wrapped up and taken down immediately. Jordan Williams is there to finish the job.
Let's go back and take a look at the work of Bryce Bell, who's had to warm up quickly and get in. He's right at that left tackle spot right here. And watch, you got to have the kick out block. Containment crushes this. If you harden the edge here, and Hladek's on the edge, if you harden that edge, there's no place for Kadeem Carey to go. But you get the kick out block from Bell, and Carey's off and running.
Second and 8 after the short pickup on the BC 24. 3 receivers, wide side right for Mayer. Looks there first, throws there now towards the end zone. Almost one-handed. Sindani, that would have been outstanding.
Yeah, it was a deliberate throw to the back shoulder. And this is a go route from Sindani. He's lined up at this number 2, but he'll end up down the rail, and it's a throw to the back shoulder because TJ Lee, the veteran, is in chase there. If they throw it up there, they believe that Lee's going to be able to track that down. So it's a back shoulder throw, tougher catch for Sindani. Lee was in good position.
Paredes, 2 of 3 after missing his opening field goal attempt of the game. He has settled in nicely. This one from 31, and he'll knock it home again. As the Calgary Stampeders now lead by 15. They tack 3 more on the board on this drive. Almost had a little bit more. Sindani got his left hand on it, unable to haul in his first touchdown of the year. Well, just another sensational season for Sean Lemon. Look at the year he's putting together.
Yeah, a chance to have a career high, a career best season. If he can pass that 14 in 2016. Again, this is start number 30 for Vernon Adams. I don't know how many times exactly that Lemon has played against Adams, but he hasn't got him, and he remembers all of them.
They'll hand it off to Butler to start. And an extended push ahead, but really nowhere to go after the initial contact. Got about 5 yards when it's all said and done.
I asked Lemon, I said, you know, are you looking at your stats often, or are you just thinking, you know, I'll check them at the end of the season, see where I'm at? And he goes, oh no, I look at them. He goes, I know where everybody is. He's second in the league right now, behind Lorenzo Malton, who's got 12. But at 10, he's second.
He's also forced 4 fumbles this year for this Calgary defense. 2nd and 5 for Vernon Adams. In trouble. No, get him.
Got him. He got it.
On cue, Sean Lemon to the feet of Vernon Adams.
Well, he had to work for it because Adams was bouncing around in the pocket and Lemon just kept at it. Coming off the edge. He's got... And this is what Sean Lemon said to me. He said, look, I remember the first guy I sacked. Guess who that was? That was Alex Brink for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a long, long time ago. He remembered.
Did he remember all of them?
I bet he does.
53-yard kick to Logan. And he'll take it all the way back outside the 20. Well, he hadn't got Vernon Adams Jr. until tonight. Sean Lemon strikes again, his 11th sack of the season as the Stampeders defense continues to go to work.
That lucky 7.
Got to get him going at some point, you would think. 15-0 Calgary leads. Lucky Whitehead does not have a catch yet in this football game. And a nice push ahead from who else? Kadeem Carey doing some serious damage right up the middle.
Well, and when you do have that damage created by your running back, then Jake Mayer's got a chance to really go into play action mode, especially in 2nd and long when he needs to convert and get a new set of downs. So, you know, this is the ideal type of offensive diversity that you want. You want to be able to maintain the line of scrimmage with your run game and then go play action.
2nd and 2. Stevens trying to push ahead, and BC Lions did a very good job there. They'll make this one close.
But I would think that Dave Dickinson will go again anyway, even if it is a few inches short. Tommy Stevens 4 touchdowns versus Edmonton and short yardage plays just like that.
Just enough for the first down for Stevens, and now he'll trot back off to the sideline. Mission accomplished.
I'm a big believer that's, I know not all teams do it, but I'm a big believer that you put in your backup or even your 3rd guy on short yardage.
Mayer dumps this one off. Nice one-handed catch as a flag. Back by the quarterback. Big push ahead from Henry. This one may be coming back.
Illegal block. Hands to the face. Calgary number 67. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
First penalty of the game against the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, as I mentioned, a well-played and well-officiated game, and if you like defense, you like it even more. That's the left guard, Zach Williams, that gets called here with hands to the face, working on David Menard, and he, you know, if the hand hits the shoulder pad and slides up to the face mask and then you get it back right away, you're not going to get called on that. But if you hold it and you twist the guy's head, you're going to get that call.
More playing time for Menard tonight with Blotcham out for the rest of the game. 1st and 20 for Mayer. 3-4 options to his left. That's where he's going to go. Near side to Danny's got it. Rugamba wraps him up and takes him down after a short pickup on the 1st and 20.
You know, I've just been impressed with Jake Mayer's confidence in the pocket, and just his mechanics just look solid. I mean, you watch him take that couple steps back, go through his progressions. He knew the pressure was coming. He was going to have to take a hit here, but he steps into the throw. Good tight spiral out there to Sindani. That was his 3rd or 4th read. You could tell him scan the field there.
3rd catch of the game for Zindani. Mayer is 19 of 24 for 229 yards. Needs 14 more here for a first down. 2nd and long. Out into the flat. They'll get it to Beggleton. Beggleton trying to make some magic here. Stays on his feet out to the 50. And gets 11, but it'll be about 3 yards short of a first down.
He made it interesting. Ben Hladek, a little bit slow to get up. He was in the tackle. He was in on the tackle there, and Beggleton was only about a few yards short, 3-4 yards short on that little wide receiver bubble screen, but Hladek stopped him just short.
Ben Hladek, 2nd-year guy out of the University of British Columbia, has stepped in here and made an impact.
Played last night, the Thunderbirds lost to the U of R Rams.
Big crowd by all accounts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Williams takes this just outside the 20, just a 38-yard kick. Williams maneuvers his way back up outside the 30, but no further there. BC Lions looking for some sort of spark offensively from Vernon Adams Jr. Well, some answers, certainly what they're looking for here. Offensive coordinator Jordan Maximic, who's done a great job with a high-flying offense so far this year. No Nathan Rourke for the last few games, but managed to win an offensive battle last week. Shutout here so far. There's a completion. That's Lucky Whitehead. First time tonight. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, get your playmakers involved. That was a quick slant to Lucky Whitehead. The Stamps were playing off here, so they're going to just bail out, and he's going to just run that inside slant. Brad Muhammad turned a little bit there.
14 yards to Lucky. And creeping towards midfield are the Lions. First and 10 from their own 45. This time they'll get it to Butler. He's got a big hole. He's got a first down. And they'll take it into Calgary territory with Javian Elliott right on his back.
You know, we saw Jordan Maximic, the offensive coordinator, and this is a work in progress, working with Vernon Adams and knowing what he does very well, which is different than what Nathan Rourke did very well and has done very well in his time playing. He's on the sideline helping all he can, but
Adams now scrambling around. Arimolade is there to take him down. That'll be his 5th sack of the season.
Yeah, he gets the sack. Sean Lemon makes the play because Vernon Adams wanted to get the edge. He wanted to get outside, and because Lemon stops him, Lemon steps up because this, after the play, Vernon Adams wanted to get out on the edge. But Lemon steps up, plays containment, forces Vernon Adams back to where his friends are. Big sack by Remolade.
Front four, this Calgary defense, and huge tonight. 2nd and 12 now. He's in trouble again. This time he escapes at least once. Not the second time. Taken down on the play by Silas Stewart as the Stampeders defense comes to play again.
Yeah, you mentioned this front four, you know, and in the commercial break, I'm sitting there, and this is what Jordan Maximic is trying to figure out. How do you contain the 4 of them? I mean, it's been a lot of 4-man pressure, not real exotic blitzes coming defensively.
8 consecutive punts for the BC Lions. Flintoff rips it down the field, 35 yards. Flag on the return, and now a little bit of pushing and shoving there. Matthew Betts involved in that. Vernon Adams Jr. unable to get anything going so far tonight. Calgary defense smothering the BC Lions so far. Uchez Purifoy returning to BC this season. For more on him, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, guys, you know, most CFL teams have 46 men on their roster. The BC Lions have 47. The 47th, a little smaller, undersized. Doesn't look like your classic football player. His name is Pennywise, and he's Uchez Purifoy's alter ego, essentially. Now, this began 2 years ago. Purifoy lost his mother during COVID, and it really took away his desire to play football. He really considered giving up the game. He needed some juice to get just that energy back for playing, and he found it in this doll. He loves horror movies. Pennywise is in the Stephen King movie, It, and he says, this guy means everything to me. It went so far as last week, or earlier this season, I should say, against Montreal, he forgot to take it with him on the road, and he panicked, and he actually said, he goes, I played so poorly. I took it on the road with me against Calgary in the game last week. I played much better. I need this guy. I tell you right now, guys, I think Vernon Adams should go over there and rub Pennywise right now. It might give him a little bit of good luck as well.
And probably try anything at this point as they get it into the hands of Kadeem Carey. Not a big scary movie guy myself, so I'll just say this, that doll creeps me out a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
See, look at that.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but I get it. You know, I totally get it that players, when you get your thing, you know, you have a great game and you wore 2 wristbands instead of, I don't know, 3 or whatever. And you got to do that until the streak stops or just keep it going. And, you know, obviously the motivation with his mother, that's awful. And so many people affected by the pandemic. But whatever your thing is, man, whatever gets you in that groove.
He's having an absolutely terrific season on the near side, looking for Sindeni, but it falls incomplete, and that'll bring up a third down here. That's the first 2 and out of the ball game for the Calgary Stampeders, and maybe some good field position coming for the home side.
Yeah, an important one on the stop for the Lions, because, you know, in that one, again, Jake Mayer is putting it where he needs to put it. Rwamba was in a trail position there, and if he throws it anywhere inside, then that could be picked off. He put it on that outside and hoped that Sindeni would come up with it. He couldn't, but look at the field position the Lions are going to have here.
Terry Williams stands at midfield as Grace kicks this away, and that'll back Williams up ever so slightly. Takes it at the 46, 50-yard kick. Right back up the middle, stays on his feet, and kicks it down just shy of the Calgary 45. First and 10, good field position here for the Lions. Lucky Whitehead, Hatcher rather. They find Hatcher, and it's down to the 25. And Keon Hatcher leading this team in receiving yards. Tacks on a few more here tonight.
Yeah, the most confident throw from Vernon Adams all night long. I mean, there's a pretty good coverage here. Keon Adams catches this in stride and is able to turn up the field immediately.
Third catch of the game, 50 yards for Hatcher. Now they'll get it back into the hands of Butler. And it's a short pickup on first down. The BC Lions really haven't even had a sniff like this so far tonight.
Well, automatically in field goal range because of the return and that one throw. So that's important just to sort of get things started. But obviously wanting a lot more. 16 is important to get involved if you're Vernon Adams.
2 catches for 19 yards for Burnham. Adams waits to the end zone, up for grabs, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Rhymes, working against Moxie, and Moxie denies him.
Yeah, and this was when you take a look at Rhymes. He actually gets good inside position on Moxie. Moxie is trailing outside. If Vernon Adams throws it here instead of to the outside shoulder, he might have a chance. I mean, usually you see the receiver outside of the corner on this type of play, this sort of fade route, but
Sean White called into work, knocks it through, and the BC Lions are on the board, trailing 15-3.
Take a look again at that route, because how many times have we seen a fade route where the DB is on the inside and the quarterback then wants to throw it to the backside shoulder? So if you get it here now, just stop it right there. See, that's inside position by Rhymes, but the ball thrown outside. It's those little differences, and I'm not sure if Moxie deliberately gave up inside position, thinking that he would fool Vernon Adams on the throw, but boy, we've seen Dominique Rhymes come up with
Illegal
that
formation.
catch.
Number 58 BC was lined up as the end. 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
But it was out of bounds anyway, I think.
It was out of bounds anyway, but if that's one, especially if Rhymes has the inside position like that, if you do target it, I mean, he's
can lean him right into it.
He's been hauling those down all year.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so they're going to take those 3 points off the board and bring Sean White back out to kick again. This time it'll be a 34-yard attempt.
Dominic Rhymes saying this week it's the most fun he has had playing football his entire life this season. 75 yards short of 1,000 coming in tonight.
Sean White sneaks it inside the left upright. Not much wiggle room there. Quick smile as he trots off the field, knowing he may have got a little lucky on that one.
A couple of eye rolls there, wasn't it? Boy, he has been money. 21 of 23, leading the league at 91.3%. A little bit uncomfortable on how close this was, but he got her there.
He's finished over 90% multiple seasons in his career. Coming back home to the BC Lions this season.
Woo. Yikes.
He's got him on the board. Calgary gets the ball back here with a 12-point lead. Empty backfield from there. A ton of time. And Henry is wide open, and that'll be enough for a first down here at the end of the third quarter. Calgary Stampeders on top, on the road, looking for the first time this season to beat a team above them in the standings. BC Lions will look to change that here at home in the fourth quarter on a Saturday night. Welcome back to Vancouver when BC Lions trailing 15-3, just 173 net yards of offense, and especially recently, a lot of pressure here on Vernon Adams. So what are you supposed to do here if you're Jordan Maksimic, the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, you know, with the pressure, the real simple answer is to go like screen draw. So basically you get your defensive line up the field, and offensively you dump it right behind them, and then let a guy like James Butler go to work. However, when you're getting pressure with just 4, then linebackers are live back there, and they're active, so they can stop the running back on those screen draws. So it's not as easy as just going, you know, just screen the ball in behind the D line, but they're having problems containing them right now.
Meditation on the sidelines there for Vernon Adams, trying to envision an offense here in the fourth quarter that can come back and win this football game. Calgary looking to finish one off here. They are 5-3 when leading after 3 quarters, so they've let a few slip away. Completion on the far side of the field. Hakunivanu, and look at the extra effort. Cannot bring him down. Finally, Purifoy says enough is enough.
25 years old. 6'4", 203 pounds. Loser Hakunivanu going to work. Just fighting, battling. Don't trip. Keep your balance. Keep working. That's a great effort. 15 yards the hard way.
48 yards in the game for Hakunivanu. They'll hand it off to Logan. Well, he had a lot of room there before any contact, and he'll take it down to the BC 40.
Dave Dickinson likes to rotate him into the offense because he thinks he brings a little bit something different, a different style of back in a lot of ways with Kadeem Carey. They're not that different in size.
Logan, big play threat.
Got that fast twitch.
Pressure coming on Mary's on the run, and he'll have to throw that away. Flags on the far side of the field in the BC Lions secondary.
Illegal contact on a receiver, BC number 14. 10-yard penalty, first down Calgary.
Marcus Sales, the guilty individual on the illegal contact.
He was working on Richie Sendani here on a corner route, and watch 14. You're only allowed to make contact and slow the receiver in the 5-yard zone. That's well beyond it. That's about 12 yards. Now the ball went the other direction, so it's legal contact, not interference. Couple on Sales tonight. Second on the team in defensive tackles.
Got 6 tackles tonight as well, but has been caught a couple of times. Now they get it to Kadeem Carey, and he is wrapped up. Nice tackle from Matthew Betts to make sure it's limited to just a short pickup on first down.
Yeah, this is a big down here for the Lions to give themselves an opportunity, because I'll get to that in a sec.
There, barking out instructions. Munchak in the slot.
Press down here
to his left. They get it to Sintani. He's taken down by Edwards.
Big play. That's a big play for the Lions. I mean, I was going to say that if you allow Calgary a major here, I mean, yeah, the score dictates the difference, but it's a momentum swing and an answer to your field goal that just takes the wind right out of your sails. But that tackle right there gives them a little bit of hope. they'll put Rennie Paredes on the field for a field goal attempt.
Paredes has already made 3 in this ball game, all from just inside 40. This one also in that 30-yard range. This will be 33, left hash. Paredes, and he knocks it home again. Steady Eddie since missing the first field goal attempt of the ball game. He's got 4, and Calgary back on top by 15. Amateur football night tonight at BC Place, and a tribute earlier at the coin toss as well.
Yeah, this is
You're the visitors. What's your choice?
Tristan Sens, and his brother Caleb died tragically in a car accident recently, and they're honoring Caleb tonight. You know, football is a tight-knit community. We mentioned the 1,000 minor football players here tonight, and our heart goes out to the Sens family, and our condolences with regards to their loss. And the kids are out here honoring Caleb and having some fun. The BC Lions home game.
Williams looking to give them something to cheer about. They'll take this return out just shy of his own 35. Vernon Adams Jr. just 8 of 17 for 108 yards so far in this ball game.
Yeah, he's hard to figure out, isn't he, sometimes, because, you know, I think going into last week, there were a lot of people across the country thought, you know, Vernon Adams needs a big game, or maybe his career starts to take a different direction. And he had the big game, and he wins in overtime on the road.
But he looked good in doing it.
Yeah, but tonight, against the same defense, different story.
Well, I know Cam Judge on this Calgary defense, so I think that would make things a little bit different, but guns this one in there to Lucky Whitehead. He's all smiles as he hauls in his second catch of the ball game. Burnham also just 2 catches, and Rhymes has 1 tonight.
Well, and both these teams have not let what happened last week linger into this week. Too important, you know, really. They're still fighting the 2 points that are on the line here. They're still fighting for home field in the playoffs. Lions have the season series, but Calgary can still catch it.
3 receivers to the left for Vernon Adams. Looks that way, throws that way. He's got the toy, and that'll be a first down for the Lions, who with 10.5 minutes to go is certainly within striking distance still.
Well, and still a 2-possession game, and that's why that stop defensively was so important for BC. Keep it 2 possessions.
First catch of the game for Catoy. 6 different receivers to haul in a catch from Vernon Adams Jr. tonight. 4 receivers now out to his right. Will hand it off to Butler. Shows some patience, then cuts it back up the field for a pickup of 4 yards on first down.
One of the most underrated, and it's weird to say underrated when you look at Sean Lemon and Mike Rose up front, and then you go back to the linebacking core. Now Silas Stewart playing for Cam Judge, you just mentioned, but Jameer Thurman, all-star caliber linebacker, right in behind that great D line. They're having maybe their best game of the year. Without their best player so far this year.
2nd and 7. Adams trying to escape. They're all over him, and they'll eventually take him down for a huge loss all the way back at the BC 45.
A good crowd here tonight in BC Place. They're getting a little restless. They want to see some offense, and they're just not getting it. Calgary is shutting the door. So, you know, you say, well, can you screen? Yeah, you could here because they sent linebackers. I think it's one of the most underrated plays in football. We'll screen to your tailback.
Well, and you got a guy who can certainly make people miss as well. Low kick. Taken by Logan. Stays on his feet. Back out to the 25 and no further. So a chance for Calgary to maybe seal this away with a time-consuming drive here on the road. Frustration for Vernon Adams Jr. as they continue to look for answers offensively, and just not happening tonight at home. Well, game 100 for Dave Dickinson appears to be trending in the right direction.
Sure is. Look at that winning percentage in 18 game schedules. We didn't have that last year because of the pandemic, but 18 game schedules, when he's in charge, they get double figures in wins, and they get a lot of help from their general manager. John Hufnagel is the next guy on the list.
He's also won at least 5 road games in every season that he's been the head coach of this club. That'll go a long way, so will this. There's a flag late, though, as Carey takes it all the way out beyond the 45. BC Lions are saying that 20-yarder is going to be brought back.
Holding. Calgary, number 58. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Yeah, you know, when you think about John Hufnagel, like most GMs in football do GM stuff. You know, they do the GM stuff, which is personnel and scouting and, you know, contracts and that kind of thing. John Hufnagel does more than that. And the coach did not like that holding call.
Yeah, he said, that's not a good call, right?
He scouts. He'll scout and look ahead at the next opponents.
Help get them ready. 4 flags, 3 of them on the play.
Game was going along real well. It was well officiated by
Calgary, number 67. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Dave Foxcroft. And, you know, the penalties that have been called tonight, there's not been many of them. I don't think we're in double figures yet. Have when we looked at them again, there's just 9 penalties, 5 for the BC Lions, 4 for the Calgary Stampeders. That's a well-played game. Boy, I'd love to see that in every game. Under 10 for both teams.
Yeah, that should be a rule now. You only get a max 10 penalties.
Let's make a rule.
You have to use them at the appropriate time.
We'll call it the Dustin rule.
Yeah,
we'll make a rule.
I like to make an impact on this league, you know? That'd be good.
Well, Jake Mayer's got to get out of this hole. He doesn't need all 25 here. Make up the lost yard.
Wouldn't mind a decent chunk of it. Going to come to the near side. Has a completion. Sindani wrapped up by Rugamba. And they'll get a whistle after a short pickup on first down. Sets up second and very long deep in their own territory.
Yeah, but the throw gives them room to punt it without being deep in their own end zone. So that gets you, you know, a chance to, I mean, they're still going to be standing on the goal line if they kick it from here. But 4 or 5 yards deep in the end zone is a different story.
The only points BC's been able to put on the board so far came off a deep kick where they had great field position to start. So they'd love to get off the field here. Get Vernon Adams back out there with a short field as the Stampeders do use a timeout in a 2nd and 22 predicament here.
Gary Peters hustled over to Ryan Phillips to get a little instruction there. As Jake Mayer broke the huddle, didn't like what he saw defensively on this key 2nd down here. Again, not necessarily to convert, that would be a long shot, but to get as much field position back, give your punter a chance to get it out of there. Ryan Phillips wants a dead stop or a sack.
BC's defense this year allowing just 234 yards through the air per game. Mayer has put up 272 on them tonight. The pressure coming up the middle, gets it away. It's Henry, and he's going to try to make something out of this. Looking for some blockers to the near side of the field, and he's not going to get the first down, but this is what you were talking about.
That's a key play for Malik Henry. Because again, you know, the Lions are playing off, so they're not going to give up 20-something yards. What Calgary just needed to do was get room to punt it away. They got 14 yards. Ryan Phillips hates it because he needs to stop to get that instant field position. That's a win for Calgary, and they're punting.
Cody Grace ready to kick it away to Terry Williams, who stands awaiting this kick on his 40. He'll be forced to back up. Takes it at the 30, 52-yard kick. Williams near side hole, closes quickly, and there's nowhere to go on that return. Time starting to run out on the BC Lions. They'll look for a big one next. CFL on TSN continues rolling next week with a full slate of games. Coverage begins with Friday night football rivalry battle between the Riders and Bombers continues Friday evening and all Saturday long. Don't miss a minute of the action only on TSN. Busy week 17. Can't wait. Riders, Bombers, Friday night football. That'll be a fun one. It's go time here for the BC Lions. 1st and 10 from their own 40, trailing and an incompletion to start this drive, looking for Burnham, and Burnham just 2 catches for 19 yards so far tonight.
Yeah, they just have not been on the same page, and part of the reason for that is that Brett Monson's defense is playing great. I mean, sometimes it can be just one piece of the puzzle, one guy that changes. I think Javian Elliott and that addition to the secondary, playing with Moxie on the short side and then putting Tremaine Washington to the field, maybe that was the one move.
3 for 15 on 2nd down conversions. Got to have one here. Burnham again, and it's incomplete. Lunged out for it. Dangerous territory there with Jameer Thurman lurking in the area. And that'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Boy, he was injured, as you know, Brian Burnham, early in the year, and has come back from that. This was a very similar type play where he extended over the middle, made a catch, and got hit. Thurman does the right thing just to make sure he's clean on the hit and clean on the tackle, and incomplete. Got to go. 3-down football.
3rd and 10. Pretty much it right here. Adams, a ton of time, can't find anybody. Now he's going to throw it. He's got Lucky Whitehead, and he's got a 1st down. BC Lions stay alive. Whitehead's biggest play of the game.
Well, 2 things. One, Vernon Adams bailing outside the pocket allowed the time for Lucky Whitehead. Is to the right of your screen. He allows him. See, he's sitting in the pocket. Now he bails out, and now that opens up Whitehead. Moxie sort of saw the quarterback and couldn't make the quick decision. Should I go and help tackle the quarterback or stay back in my coverage?
20 yards for Whitehead. Lions down to the Calgary 50. Adams in trouble again. Can he get away? No, taken down. Started by Rose, finished by Rose. Got some help from his friends, but Vernon Adams in trouble the whole way.
Timeout, BC.
The swim move on 1, that was Andrew Pearson, who's really not responsible for him. He got past Pearson pretty quickly, and then Godber tried to pick him up. Bull rushed through that and got there. Remember, he was hanging on to Vernon Adams a couple times earlier in the game, didn't finish.
Gave him that death stare.
Yeah.
7th sack of the season for Rose. 19th of his career. 29-year-old putting together a pretty tremendous season. Again, 5th sack of Vernon Adams tonight. Once again, BC, no sacks of a Calgary quarterback. They haven't been able to get them all season. This is the 3rd game. Adams here, 2nd and 16. Gets it to Burnham. Burnham taken down. And it'll be 3rd and about 7 or 8 here for the BC Lions.
And a little change motion for Brian Burnham there. Bring him from the outside spot. Wiggle him down into the closer to Vernon Adams. And I don't know, it just seems like Vernon Adams is looking at a receiver, and when he doesn't like what he sees there, now he starts to just sort of scramble. It's not really a progression, or at least it doesn't look like that from up here.
Empty backfield, 3rd and 6. Gotta have it. Adams, some room to run. Now he's gonna take a look down the field to Ryan, goes back for it. And it's incomplete. So close, but unable to get his arms underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, he's down 2 possessions, and the clock becomes the enemy as much as the Stamps do, but he could have run for the 1st down.
Looked like he had it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a split-second decision, and Vernon Adams thought, you know, I can make this big play. We get 1 score back with 1 throw. I mean, maybe Remilade runs him down, but it looked like he had the edge in the corner to get at least the 1st down here and keep the drive alive. And that is clearly bounced to Rhymes.
Adams watching on as that ball falls incomplete, and it leads to a turnover on downs. Stevens near side as he's taken down on the run by Purifoy, and that falls incomplete. And Jake Mayer will now trot out there for the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, over 60% of games this year in the Canadian Football League have been decided in the first 3 minutes. It's close for Purifoy, but I think the officials have done a nice job of not calling the close ones, letting the guys sort of decide the outcome of plays. The penalties that they've thrown tonight, I think, were legit penalties. And maybe Dave wants to
timeout, Calgary.
To slow things down, make sure he gets this play called correctly and before the warning so he doesn't lose it.
Calgary Stampeders coming out here to BC and getting exactly what they needed so far. Still 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go, but they're in a pretty good position. When you look at what they've done against the West so far this year, managed to handle the Edmonton Elks a near handful of times, but not being able to beat anybody else. There now, down the field, and that's going to be intercepted. There's a flag at the end of the play. TJ Lee steps in.
That's a roughing the passer. That flag is right where they're roughing the passer, and I don't know if that's the call. Jake Mayer's getting up limping a little bit.
Major foul, roughing the passer, BC number 90. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Matthew Betts. Round of boos here at BC Place.
Sprinter stance. You got Bryce Bell on his heel.
Just late?
Yeah.
Definitely could have not done that, yeah.
Late hit. And a bad decision.
Takes away an interception from TJ Lee. Clock ticks down to 3 minutes. Mayer turns, hands it off to Kadeem Carey. Carey pushing ahead. Gets about 4 yards on the first down carry. And that will take us inside 3 minutes. Calgary Stampeders trying to put the finishing touches on a pretty good defensive performance in Vancouver. Time for your Advil dual action play of the game.
Jalen Philpott, short corners, got his family and friends in attendance here at BC Place. They got pretty excited about that one. Canadian receivers, which was a
BC
change.
has taken a timeout. The clock will start on the snap of the ball.
Timeout BC, but for Canadian receivers, they're responsible for the Calgary Stampeders for 180 of Jake Mayer's 286 yards passing.
Sindani, Kunavanu, Unchak with one big one and another one as well. And Philpott in there as Calgary looks to seal this away. Kadeem Carey, 2nd and 6. They'll give it to him, and he lunges ahead, and that's looking like enough for a first down for the Calgary Stampeders. And that should put Kadeem Carey up over 70 yards on the ground tonight. 72 on 11 carries.
This is where the BC Lion defense has to try and tackle the football. Like it takes you into sort of bad technique because you're going for the ball, trying to swipe it out or punch it out. But now you're desperate to try and create a turnover if you're the Lions.
Back to Kadeem Carey again. He's going to push it ahead, staying on his feet. And I'm not sure if there's another running back in the league if you're just looking to seal one away and then hand the ball off to this guy.
Well, he'll be tracking down 1,000 yards very, very quickly. Another big run for him and closing in on 100 tonight.
Puts him up to about 850 on the season. And he might not be done just here yet. BC Lions have given up just the one touchdown. It was to Kadeem Carey. Now Mayer takes the handoff, guns it on the side to Henry. A little bit of a stiff arm and gets a decent chunk on first down.
Take a look at Calgary now. They have Toronto, Hamilton, and then back-to-back against Saskatchewan. So that's their remaining regular season schedule, because home field in the semi is up for grabs still. Dave Dickinson knows it, in that, yes, they've lost the season series to the Lions, so they can't tie them. They got to win outright.
BC Lions get Winnipeg twice in their final 3 games. Look at this run. Oh, staying on his feet is Logan. What an effort all the way down to the end zone, and he's in. Touchdown, are you kidding me? Would not be denied. Peyton Logan with a spectacular finish at the end of this game.
Yeah, the game basically decided here, but still worth the price of admission to watch him go to work. Peyton Logan taking advantage of a worn-down BC Lion defense, and he bounces outside. There's one miss. There's 2 misses. He keeps fighting. Bolacombo runs by him. Purifoy can't get him. Oh, man, he went through the whole defense.
Not a bad way to get your 3rd rushing touchdown of the season. And we talked a lot this year about these 2 running backs, right? The 1-2 punch that the Calgary Stampeders have. And it's been on full display here tonight. You just saw Kadeem Carey march down the field pretty much right up the middle. And then you bring a little scat back by Logan, and he takes it to the outside and gets it done.
Yeah, he has those quick twitch muscles and that quick acceleration. Kadeem Carey can be shifty, but also very physical. You saw a physical run there from Peyton Logan. Got that side of his game as well.
7 plays, 64-yard touchdown drive to seal it away. And Paredes comes out and knocks the extra point through the uprights. 25-3, Calgary on top.
Sit back and enjoy a great run. Purifoy put shoulder right into him. Cut back there on TJ Lee, the veteran.
I think 7 or 8 guys had a chance to get their hands on him here.
1, count them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And Purifoy almost had him twice. Kind of got turned around there. That's a memorable run from Peyton Logan. We talked about it coming in, Calgary. Calgary needed to win this game for a number of reasons, right? Keep that push alive, possibly host a semifinal. But to also just have confidence in yourself to know that you beat one of the Bombers or the Lions this year.
Yeah, exactly. Just that it validates the process. That in order to win the Grey Cup and get out of the West, the Stamps are going to have to beat Winnipeg, and they're going to have to beat BC.
Williams on the return. Decent effort, and he'll take it all the way out to the 45. So another victory coming on the road here for Dave Dickinson. The only blemish was losing Derek Dennis earlier in this game, and he did send out a tweet after saying that he will bounce back better than ever. And
yeah, good to see that he's okay, and we'll see how long he's out, but hopefully he has a speedy recovery. And I thought Bryce Bell played excellent, replacing Derek Dennis in the lineup.
Antonio Pipkin into the game to finish this thing. Mop-up duty for the BC Lions. The end. Looking for Hatcher. There's Moxie. Moxie's had a good game tonight.
Yes, he has.
He steps in on that one and breaks it up.
Well, that's what I mean. It just looks like all of a sudden the back end for Calgary on defense is clicking. And part of that is Elliott. part of that has been Moxie. Moxie started out with a couple of big plays in the first half. But you play Elliott and Moxie together, they got some chemistry going there in the short side of the field, and Washington was moved to the wide side corner, and he's made a couple of plays out there, so maybe he's more comfortable there than he was at halfback. And the front seven we've talked about. That's a great front seven. Maybe underrated front seven in the league.
Well, and no Cameron Judge tonight. Pipkin dumps this off to Butler, tracked down from behind and taken down immediately by Terrell McLean. But to do that without Judge, who's having a sensational season, I think it's a statement game for this Calgary Stampeders defense. My goodness.
Well, Cam Judge was leading in almost all defensive categories for their team, and you know, he's going to pick up right where he left off, and good on him for not, you know, trying to
have that suspension overturned. A deep ball down to Burnham, but there's flags on the play before the ball was even thrown.
Yeah, good on him. Just say, hey, look, I'll take my lumps. You know, it happened. Both teams are moving on. Looked like Burnham may have
Too many
hurt
players.
himself.
Calgary, the penalties declined. First down.
So a big play to Burnham, but gets up and seems to be grimacing in pain with a hand issue.
So he makes the catch. Oh yeah, he goes down on that right hand to break the fall here.
Kind of folded it up underneath him. 29 yards on the play. Pipkin near side. And that is a completion to Dominic Rhymes. This is his second catch of the ball game. Tremaine Washington there to wrap him up. What about the BC Lions? Vernon Adams had that good game on the road last week, picked up a victory, and now here in this game, you're down 25-3, and he's watching from the sidelines. You brought him in, you gave up a first rounder to get him. I don't think you're not going with him, but obviously a bounce back going to be needed here from VA.
Yeah, without question. And their, as we mentioned, their next opponent, Ottawa.
Please reset the game clock to 1 minute and 1 second.
That's next weekend here at BC Place. So they got another home game to, like you said, get it together. Find out again what Vernon Adams really likes, which is different than what Nathan Wharton really likes.
Pipkin, they're going to bring some heat on him near side. He was looking to Burnham again. Look, Burnham down and was reaching towards that hand one more time as he went to the turf.
Elliott, a Florida State guy that was a walk-on at Florida State. Doesn't have a lot of mileage on him either. He good senior year there, but didn't play much football before that as far as game. And then he, on his pro day, ran a 4.4. So Dave Dickinson was real excited about his game, and as a rookie DB in there, second-year DB, but young DB in there, really good game.
3rd and inches for Pipkin, and he slides in there. Let's take a look at your updated West standings, as Calgary's just made things a little more interesting.
Well, they both have 9 wins.
Now, they're both going to the playoffs. Calgary does that with the win here tonight. BC was already in. BC has a game in hand still, and they have the tiebreaker. So I have to think they're still in the driver's seat as a deep ball down the far side. Rhymes turns around and goes up and gets it for good measure late in this one. And that is his 10th touchdown of the season, his first one since they lost Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, that last touchdown for Rhymes was against Calgary back in August. That's the last one. He got off to such a great start. Well, he'll take this just to get back on the board. It's not going to change the outcome of this game, but
that's a 6'4" receiver going up against a 5'9" corner, and he had a significant advantage there, able to haul it in. Moves him into a tie for the league lead in receiving touchdowns. They're shown in Winnipeg. Pipkin looking for a couple more. A far corner, Rhymes again. This time it's batted away. Multiple flags there with Muhammad in coverage and 29 seconds on the clock.
touchdown was out at the wideout spot. Now he's inside. That's why it's Muhammad that
Defensive
ends
pass
up picking up
interference,
the
Calgary
coverage.
number 28. Ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. We'll retry the 2-point convert.
Well, Muhammad did look back. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Like when you, well, I guess the T-shirt
was he pulling the T-shirt?
The T-shirt being pulled was the giveaway.
Another crack at it here for Pipkin. Quarterback push ahead, and he is in for 2 more to make it a 14-point ball game in favor of the visiting Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, this is the type, when you're on the wrong end of these scores, this is where, you know, you want to go watch the video the next day and see that you didn't quit. And the coaches want to see if anyone quits. So, you know, they all know, both teams know that they're not coming back to win this game, but you also can't just sort of mail in the last 2 or 3 minutes. That's not how it works, especially in Canadian football, because as you know, you can score 3 times in the final 3 minutes.
How about 2 times in the final 29 seconds? No? Okay.
That's
that would be pretty amazing.
I'll tell you, they'll go onside kick. That's the way the game started tonight. Calgary executed to perfection an onside kick. This will be the hands team from Mark Gillum. They'll put out their hands team, it's called, and usually that means there's a receiver on the edges. I think it's Zendani on one side.
Akunavanu on the far side of the field by himself.
Yeah, so you put your receivers out there. They're right at that 10-yard mark. Or they're gonna be deeper than that, but move up to the 10-yard mark. And there's Zendani down at the bottom.
A little fun at the end of this ball game. And BC down 25-11. Flintoff trying to drop one in here perfectly. And that'll be taken. Hit heavily was Zendani by Katoy, but he hangs on, and mission accomplished for Zendani.
Yep, that's why you put your receivers. That's why you call them the hands team. Sure hands out there on the onside attempt, and then you got to go up and get it. Katoy trying to knock it out of there and force a fumble, but that will do it. Yeah, 2 scores in 29 seconds. That's a bit of a stretch.
So Jake Mayer last week throws 3 touchdown passes.
300 yards. 300 yards, yeah.
This week, 294, 27-33. Very efficient game. No touchdown passes, and wins.
Great defensive game for Calgary.
Both running backs find the end zone, Kadeem Carey and Peyton Logan, but you said it. I mean, a defensive statement game from the Calgary Stampeders, coming on the road against the second-place BC Lions and essentially giving them nothing. They started this game with 8 consecutive punts, and then that last touchdown, the only touchdown game for BC by Pipkin, was their first trip to the red zone today.
Yeah, when the game is basically decided.
Yeah,
so
it was a gimme down the field, right?
Exactly.
So, not only did BC have trouble scoring, they had trouble getting within 30 or 20 yards of the Calgary Stampeders. It was a very important statement game here for the Stamps.
Yeah, absolutely. It validates their process, as I mentioned, and they know they can beat one. And we're looking at the Western semifinal, 2 teams, really.
We should see these teams meet again. Will it be here or will it be in Calgary in the postseason? After a couple of games full of fireworks, it's the Calgary Stampeders defense from start to finish in this ball game, making big plays. A frustrating night for Vernon Adams Jr. Dave Dickinson in his 100th game as Calgary Stampeders head coach picks up a victory like he has done most of the games as the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. On the road at BC Place, Stampeders 25-11. That's the final. Good night from Vancouver. Let's send it to Sports Center with Sarah Davis and the mustache of Kelsey Bray.
Come on in. morning, Canada. This is SportsCenter. She is Sarah Davis. I am Kelsey Bray. We've got a busy show for you. We're going to talk a little NHL preseason. We've got the baseball playoff races in the major leagues. But let's start in the CFL. 2 games on Saturday night. We begin with the Lions and Stampeders. And really, Sarah, for the first 2 times that these 2 teams met, including last week, it's been a throw them up, even a punch them out kind of high-scoring affairs. On Saturday night, that was not the case in the 3rd and final meeting between these 2 teams.
I know. The Lions with a chance to sweep the Stamps for the season series. The Lions also with a chance to clinch a playoff spot. So we were expecting so much drama.
Fireworks. Let's go. That's drama, isn't it?
Yes. What better way to come into another Western showdown than riding in on a horse? Lucky Whitehead, he's known for his stadium entrances. Here he is riding in on an ice cream cart for a game in July. I like this guy. Always entertaining. Meantime, another Lions receiver, Josh Pearson, sang a lot in training camp, so his teammates encouraged him to try singing the national anthem. Team is loving it. That's taking some guts.
It does. Some massive guts.
Pearson's an Alabama native. He just learned the lyrics this week.
Good on him. Okay, a lot more respect given there.
Absolutely. All right, so it was 3-zip Stamps in the second quarter when Jake Mayer spots Colton Hunchick. Nice driving catch, good for 33 yards. Calgary driving again before half, and the CFL's rushing leader, Kadeem Carey, punches it in from 3 yards out. Makes it 12-0 Stamps. Meantime, Vernon Adams Jr. making his second start for the Lions. He's under pressure and just manages to get away from Mike Rose, but the pass goes out of bounds. Check out the stare that Rose gives the BC quarterback. Oh, yikes. The Lions punted on 8 straight possessions. Calgary up 12-zip at the break. Jump to the 4th quarter. The Stamps up by 15. Adams under pressure, and he gets sacked for the 4th time in the game. The Calgary defense, they certainly had a great night, and Calgary does indeed avoid the sweep in the season series by BC. That's for the first time since 2005. Final score this one, 25-11. And the Lions have actually been held to 11 points or fewer in 2 of their last 3 games. While Kadeem Carey, he has a rushing touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games.
And for more, here's Farhan Lalji with Jake Mayer.
Offensively, a lot went right for you guys in the first half, but you couldn't really make it happen in the red zone until that one long play to Jalen Philpott. How important was that in terms of getting you guys going?
Yeah, big time. I mean, you said it. You know, I felt like we played a pretty clean game offensively in the second half. We kind of got in our own way a little bit, whether it was me or penalties or things of that nature. So we got to clean that up. I mean, we've been playing good red zone football for a while now, and tonight they had a good plan. And they made their plays when we got down there. So we'll get better from it. But tonight was all about our defense. I mean, shoot. Holding the team like that with that many weapons to this amount of points is honorable, man. So we'll take it.
Still close to 400 yards for you. In all likelihood, you guys are going to face the BC Lions at some point in the playoffs. So how important was it to have that type of performance and send that statement?
Yeah, I mean, regular season games, they're very valuable, obviously. But they got the best of us twice, and we felt like, hey, we got to put something together here to give ourselves some momentum and something that'll trend us in the right direction in the next few weeks. But we're on to next week. Playoffs will come, and we know what's ahead of us. So this is just a great team win for us, and there's really nothing more to say.
Yeah, I mean, offensively though, there was also a lot of balance because you got the running game going. Kadeem had his, Peyton had his. Take me through that last run. The team got pretty excited.
That's an unbelievable effort. He does that a lot. Obviously we don't tackle much in practice, but you can just tell, like, when guys kind of touch off on him, you kind of think to yourself, I don't know if he would have made that play. And, sure enough, it's just all effort and desire, and could happen to a better guy. He's young, and he's got fresh legs all the time. It seems like he's tough to tackle.
Thanks for this.
Thanks, Farhan.
Argos and Red Blacks. Toronto can clinch a playoff spot with a win. They haven't made the playoffs in back-to-back years since 2012, 2013. Second quarter, we find the Argos down 3. Nick Arbuckle throws it right into the hands of Maurice Carnell. That is the opposite of a good pass. And the Argos take possession, and on the ensuing possession, it is McLeod, Bethlew, Thompson finding A.J. Roulette for the touchdown. Argos riding a 3-game win streak with Macbeth under center has never won 4 straight games in his career. Still in the second, Arbuckle drops again, looks, intercepted for the second time, snagged by Sean Amos. Red Blacks haven't won at home this season. They've lost 20 of their last 21 games played at TD Place. So it's Argos ball once again. Bethel Thompson patiently waiting, airing it out for Canadian Curly Gittins Jr., an immediate add to the all-names list for me.
And he getting it.
Bethel Thompson with 3 touchdowns and 245 yards through the air. He moves into top spot for the most passing yards in the league. Red Blacks offense could not get anything going.
He's got his own sign. Oh my goodness, picked off again. Cornell with his second of the night, and he's going to take it all the way in.
Caleb Evans fresh into the game, and he also falls victim to the Argos D. Carnell with the pick 6 later in the 4th. Evans going for a short pass. Chris Edwards gathers the loose ball, returns it to the house, 89 yards. Red Blacks QBs were picked off 5 times in this game. Argos with 42 points off of turnovers. They clinch a playoff spot with a blowout win against the Red Blacks. 45-15 would be the final. So a look at the CFL standings. With Calgary's win, both the Stamps and Lions are headed to the playoffs thanks to both the Ticats and Red Blacks losing this week, as they are guaranteed no worse than a crossover spot. With more on today's action, here's Kate Burness and the panel.
Alongside Dave Naylor, Milt Stiegel, and let us begin in the East, where the Toronto Argos got a little space atop the East, and the Ottawa Red Blacks unfortunately came up completely short in pretty much a must-win game. The biggest story by far in this game, though, Dave, was points off turnovers. Ends up being 41 for the Argos.
It does. And, you know, I don't know a head coach anywhere who hates turnovers more than Paul Lapalisse. So I can't imagine what was going through his mind watching his team commit 6 turnovers. It got so bad in the second half that Caleb Evans got yanked, and Nick Arbuckle, who'd been yanked at halftime, was put back into the game. The only redeeming quality for this is Ottawa actually outgained Toronto, because the Argo offense was barely on the field in the second half because they kept producing turnovers that they returned for scores. There aren't really many soul-crushing games in a CFL season, but this was one. At home, no touchdowns, and look, mathematically they're still alive, but there's nothing that we saw today that would believe that this team has a chance at the playoffs.
No, not a chance at the playoffs. And we've been talking about it, that there may be some major changes come for the offseason for these Ottawa Red Blacks. But I want to talk about these Argonauts and what they've done lately, the way they've played. You talk about that defense. They've been outstanding, but also McLeod Bethel Thompson. We got to start giving this guy some credit.
We do.
And I know he's not the most consistent quarterback, but when he's on, he's on. And then lately, he's been on. He's been making some great plays. He's spreading the ball around. They have a nice running game with A.J. Arlette. So they are getting it done right now. You talk about this was a must-win for these Ottawa Red Blacks. I also think this was a must-win for these Argonauts, because they knew that Montreal was still playing well, that they were right behind them. So they know they wanted to keep that separation because they meet Montreal their last 2 games. So this was a big win.
People always talk about Labor Day when the games, really matters from the way in. They've won 4 in a row. Good timing for the Argonauts.
All right, to the West now, and we were expecting big things from the BC Lions after that thrilling victory over the Stamps a week ago, and then they come into this game at home, and the offense completely dries up. But Milt, that offensive line was really nowhere to be found in this entire game.
No, and we were asking ourselves, is this the same offensive line that Nathan Rourke had? Because for some reason, Vernon Adams is not getting the same protection that Nathan Rourke had. And I know it's a different type of quarterback, but there's a lot of pressure, and it's not all on Vernon Adams. The same protection is not there for Nathan Rourke, and they have to get it together because they're trying to put themselves in a position to get that home playoff game. And right now, if they can play like this, it's going to be difficult for them to obtain that.
This is a real thud for the BC Lions because of what Vernon Adams showed last week. They got the win in overtime, and they're coming home, right? And you feel like they're really going to sort of reestablish that presence in the West Division. They're going to sail with Vernon Adams the rest of the way here. I don't think anybody's counting on Nathan Rourke. I know there's a possibility he could come back, but they've got to be hanging on Vernon Adams right now and figure out a way to get him right, because you're right, though, the pressure, they were getting pressure with 4, the pocket was collapsing, he couldn't find guys, it wasn't pretty.
And now the Calgary Stampeders have the same amount of wins as the BC Lions, and you can just see them eyeing, getting closer and closer to the Bombers. Fascinating stuff. Just 5 weeks to go in the CFL season as we send it back to SportsCenter.